Oh, hey, friends. I didn't see you there.
Hey everyone.
Mhm.
Hi JB.
ah, hey, Manny.
Vibing with our
As
great intro music once again.
our silent intro music to ourselves. We as you guys can tell, this is a little different flavor of the box scores. We're going to switch it up a little bit today. So, and before we do, why don't we cheers ourselves in?
Cheers.
Cheers, Manny. Cheers.
You
That's
wanna
right.
you wanna
Yeah.
explain the mug?
I'm just so far down the drain of an alcoholic. I drink from a coffee mug now. That's what it is. No, I'm drinking coffee. So today's box scores and bourbon and beans.
There you
So
go.
cheers,
Bourbon.
everyone. Yeah.
Box or beans and bourbon.
My little French press that I got from Bespoke Post like
Nice.
2 years ago.
Those are always cool.
Yeah.
I remember
Love
that.
this thing.
I remember that thing.
I love this.
You were waiting
Yeah.
for it to come in.
That's
You were
right. I
so
was.
excited with showing me the
I
freaking
was
order.
very.
It'd be so cool.
That's how long we've known each other. I forgot that I knew you before I even ordered this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
So, yeah. Go ahead, Manny.
welcome to week 2, JB. Did you enjoy
Welcome
having
to week
professional
two.
football that matters in your life again?
I got to be honest. I forgot it was happening until midway through. I
Wow.
did so poorly in my fantasy leagues. I had no idea who was out. Um, I wish I had Jordan Mason's number. I could have known I should have switched out McCaffrey. But
Yeah.
yeah, other than that, I got clobbered because midway through the first half of the morning games, I was like, oh, I never even did my lineup.
Oh,
I
no.
still I still have a trade request that I have to respond to from somebody.
You're being a bad fantasy manager. But
I
I can't
am.
do much on your situation because my situation might be just as bad. I, on the opposite of you, was actually on top of my game as far as watching
You still
nonstop
are.
before every game was starting. But here's where that caught up to me. I was so busy in my family league. I was so caught up in talking crap. I talked crap about the guy that I was going up against and told him how he was bad luck because every single one of his players was going out. Because he had Puka Nakua and he had Jordan Love, and they were both out. So on Monday, I saw the alert that Christian McCaffrey was going to be out. So I messaged him. I said, "Told you were bad luck. All your players are going out." So he proceeded to go into the app. He's like, "Oh, thanks for catching that." He proceeded to go to the app, benched McCaffrey, and picked up Mason and started him, and he kicked my butt with that move.
As well, he should have. Good
Yeah,
job.
I was
Good
within
job, friend.
I was within grasp of beating him. I was down. I needed like 20 points between two players, but I had Debo Samuel and Brees Hall ready to go, and they did good. But if I would have just shut my mouth, I could have stole a win from
Yeah.
them. That's what
I
happens.
also had deep. I had Debo and Bryce Hall for my other league, but I
Oh,
also had the Jets defense.
oh yeah,
So
me
I'm
too.
like,
I think
well,
we might have the same. Might have the same lineup. I have the same.
I
So,
have Jordan
anyways,
Love as my quarterback in both leagues,
oh
so that's
no,
not going to fare well. Maybe I got to go get Ryan Tannehill now. Yeah.
hot pickup. Go take Baker. He doesn't look like he's going to be missing a single step in that offense.
Yeah. No. Uh yeah, so I uh
We need to start
let's
by talking about what we noticed in college because we haven't talked
that's
about
what I'm
college.
saying. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're about to enter week 3 of college football. And we have not talked a wink about it.
we talked
What were
at the beginning.
your
Yeah.
yeah, what were your observations? Uh let's play a game. A
Okay.
game I like to call what I noticed is. So, in every single comment that you make about the college football game that you're talking about has to begin with the statement, what I noticed is.
Okay.
So, go first.
What I noticed is that Michigan is in trouble without Jim Harbaugh. That Jim Harbaugh,
Mm,
what I noticed is that Jim Harbaugh really is the masterpiece behind any team he touches. It's not just pieces that he recruits. He really knows how to make them work. Because Michigan did not look like Michigan against Texas without Jim Harbaugh.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's I could attribute that to Jim Harbaugh. I could attribute that to McCarthy not being there. I could attribute that to Blake Corum not being there. I could attribute that to half of last year's team not being there anymore.
Yeah,
But
true.
what I noticed is Steve Sarkisian, I don't know what he did during the offseason, but what I noticed is Quinn Ewers, if he can stay healthy, he may just be the Heisman winner this year.
He's already the
He
favorite.
may be.
Betting
He,
odds
I,
say he's the favorite.
well, he's got to stay healthy
Yeah.
because what I noticed is that he cannot stay healthy at all. So, but that's actually I took that from I took that game as more of not so much the fall of like how far Michigan has fallen, but really more of
That's
a high
expected.
five toward Texas
Yeah.
because of just what Sark has done with that team,
Yeah, they look
and
really good.
uh, I mean this is their first year in the SEC, and it doesn't look like that they're going to miss a beat at
No.
all, and they're not going to. And what I noticed is they're not playing a powerhouse this weekend. They're playing University Texas San Antonio.
That's right.
So I I don't know if what are they the Road Runners? I don't know. They're going to be beat all over them, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
So
Another
no.
thing that following the script, what I noticed moving on was that Colorado does not have it together and do not have what
Mm,
it takes to be competitive. What I noticed
yeah.
was that week one fell right in line to what I said. What Dakota was going to be a very competitive team, and Colorado ended up winning that game only because they had to come back and finally stole that win at the end. And what I noticed is
Mm-hmm.
that when they finally played a, uh, a team that should be on their level, they did not
Mm-hmm.
show up to the game at
Yeah.
all. Did not play the part at all. And another thing that I noticed is that they're screwed without Sanders being at the helm of that offense.
Mm, yeah. Uh, the what I noticed is Deion Sanders still doesn't understand how football is played, and what I don't think he's noticed is that you win ball games in the trenches. When
Yeah.
you do not develop your offensive line, when you do not develop a wall. So I've never heard of a general that said, "Hey, we're going to put all our protection behind the sharpshooters. So sharpshooters, you go out in front, the protection will be behind you." No, the sharpshooters are behind the wall. These guys are supposed to get beat up.
Yeah.
And what I noticed is Primetime hasn't picked this up yet. I
No.
don't think he's noticed this.
No.
And so
What I
that is
noticed is that his recruiting didn't work because we knew the line was an issue since last year, and he did not
mm-hmm.
address it, or his recruiting is just not there to really be able to
Yeah.
address.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's right. What I noticed is a man called Ashton Janty, the running back for Boise State. That dude is running over people left and right, and it's fun to watch. This reminds me of old school Boise State football on the blue field, where everything they did was just magic. And
Yeah.
so watching this kid run over people is amazing. It's so much fun right now.
Yeah. It's been good. Who was that? Was that him, or who was it? Who was the running back that scored 6 touchdowns?
That was Janty. That was
Okay,
him.
that was him.
That
Okay,
was
yeah,
him. Yep.
he was. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was quite. He was.
Against powerhouse Georgia
Yeah,
Southern. Don't forget Southern. But
the
it
asterisk.
was a team from Georgia. It was a team from Georgia. Yes.
The final thing that I noticed is that Georgia has not missed a beat and they are on a revenge tour like no other, being screwed out of the playoff last year. And what I noticed is that they're not going to go lightly or play down to any opponent they have, nor are they going to take the foot off the pedal once they're beating up a team, because they are on a
Yeah.
they put up pretty much 50 points both of the last two games, and I expect them to put up another 50 in their matchup this week against who are they playing this week? I don't have it right in front of me right now. Who are they playing? Let's see. They are playing Georgia. Oh, where is it? Georgia's playing Kentucky this week. So I expect that to be very similar, even though Kentucky is more of a competitive force for their football program. What's your
Yeah.
final notice of the last 2 weeks?
What I noticed is Tulane is not really missing a beat now that Willie Fritz is no longer there. John Sumrall, who came over from Troy State, is the Tulane's 1-1 right now. But that game they played against Kansas State last weekend was awesome, and
Yeah.
I really thought Tulane was going to pull away with that one. But what I noticed is Tulane is back again. I remember as a kid the years that Sean King was a quarterback, and it was one of those times when uh, there was actually some competition who was the better college team in the 60-mile radius. Was it Tulane or was it LSU? So it was I that is what I've noticed. I've noticed John Sumrall is picking right back up where Willie Fritz left off. We talk so much about head coaches who follow legends, aka
Yeah.
Kalen DeBoer following Nick Saban. But
Mm-hmm.
Willie Fritz isn't a legend, but he's a great coach in his own right. And to have a guy come in right behind him and kind of still carry on that success, that's something that's hard not to notice.
Yeah, that is true. That's a
Yeah.
good way. I have a little bit. I have one last one of my observations and what I noticed, that with the
Mm-hmm.
fall of Michigan's win streak, now the team. What I noticed is that the team with the longest winning streak currently, active win streak, is the great football program of Arizona with 8 straight wins, and they did it in a very formidable fashion against our homegrown University of New Mexico Lobos. They put a beating on them.
This is just so sad.
it
It's
was
so
it was not
sad.
good. I think the Lobos were actually competitive up until halftime, and then, well, no, not until
Up
halftime, like
until
the
the
first
game
quarter.
started. Yeah.
Pretty much, they
Yeah.
put up 17
They were
points, and
really
then
pumped. They were really pumped coming out the tunnel.
yeah,
Yeah.
the receiver decided that he was going to break a first half record, and he put up like 250 yards in the first half and 3 touchdowns. And that's what I noticed, is that the Lobos are nowhere close to being able to compete with any type of program that cares about football. Nowhere close.
Yeah. Not even a little bit. Yeah,
No.
that was and what's crazy is that was like you said, it was a competitive game going into halftime.
Mm-hmm.
It was what it was 27-24 going into halftime. And Arizona more than doubled their point total in the second half. It was so bad, so bad.
It was really bad.
Um, Not looking good for Bronco Mendenhall's first two games.
No,
I've noticed.
I
So we shall we shall see um, what comes. But uh, that was fun. I think we
yeah.
should play this game every now and again.
Okay,
We we need to come up with a stinger for it, or some background music for it.
there we go. Yeah,
So
we'll have a little bit
yeah,
of background music.
yeah. Let's move on to the big boy gridiron.
Ooh,
Yeah, mm-hmm.
big boy
That's right.
gridiron.
Big boy gridiron. There are week one was um it was a little underwhelming. I
Mm-hmm.
know. I mean, by the time I caught up to the fact that the season had started, uh, it was a little underwhelming. I think probably the uh, the best game, or one of the best games uh, that I did follow. I did like that Bills Cardinals game. I like that one, and then that Lions Rams game was really
Yeah.
good. That was a good Sunday night game. That was
Yep.
really good.
The
So I did.
the the season really started on a good foot with the Ravens Chiefs game. That was a really good game too. By
That
the
was a great game.
by the ingrown toenail of likely the Ravens couldn't pull off a win.
You know what? And that right there just speaks so much about how the Ravens played that game. They shot themselves in the foot so many times
Yep.
that it was a foot that killed them.
That
And so it was
it was
I
poetic.
there it was very poetic. It's almost as if Edgar Allan Poe came in here from the grave, and did his own little death dance for Baltimore. Shout out to his home city, but it was so many times in the first half. That last drive going into halftime, I don't know what that was. I'm
Yeah.
like, you cannot go into halftime not putting up a touchdown. Like
Hmm.
like you have to end this on a high note. You have to. There's no way Baltimore thought that. I mean, I don't think anyone thought that the Chiefs are going to be as sluggish as they were in the second half. But but you had
Yep.
every opportunity to overtake that game, and then when it came time for you to actually, come across and do something with it, it was too late. It was too late.
Yeah. It's a true story. I mean, it was
Yep.
overall a very sloppy weekend of football. We can just simply say that. I wasn't
Mm.
tracking that they were going to be doing this thing where they were going to call illegal formation on the lineman for not being within the buttocks of the next lineman next to them.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah,
I've had no idea that who's who who is who's the pervert referee going out there with his measuring tape app and looking at all their asses. Okay, all right,
yours is out of
sweet.
place.
Okay, all right, we got half fish all the way around. Let's go. Maybe that's what they're doing. When they put they put the ball down, and instead of going "let's go," they do take a second. I think he's scanning the butts. That's what he's doing. Okay, you're good now. Okay, I've checked you all out. You look like fine specimen. Let's play football. What?
It was crazy. Crazier was the fact that the same lineman, and I don't remember his name, the same lineman got the same exact call like 3 plays in a row. How do you not scoot up after you get the first one? Just take a half step forward, lean a little bit more. Like that was blowing my mind. But you're right.
Yeah,
That ultimately, the messiness is what caused the Ravens to really lose that game. It was a
yeah,
sloppy game of inches.
yeah. I have I have an overreaction, two overreactions from one game.
Oh,
Raheem Raheem Morris still doesn't know how to coach football, and forget what I said about Jared Goff. Chris Boswell will be the NFL MVP for the 2024 season. That
Boswell.
dude, he kicked 6 field goals. The Steelers won 18-10. So it's just it's amazing to me. You spend $80 million guaranteed on a quarterback for the next 2 years,
Yeah.
and that's the showing that he has. That's it. After that, Kirk has no more room to say he was upset that they drafted his heir apparent, because his heir apparent looks like he's going to be airing it out sooner rather than later, because it
Yeah.
is that was a piss poor showing. That was
For
a
that
piss poor showing.
for that offense that Morris decided to run on Kirk with the having him, I think the stats were like he was in pistol formation 90% of the game when he's never really been about that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just
Yeah,
I would think Penix would be more capable of running an offense like that. So yeah, if they continue to struggle
yeah,
because Morris is too stubborn to really change up to fit what fits his quarterback, then they'll start playing
yeah,
Penix because Kirk can't figure it out.
yeah. And honestly, I don't know why you would do that anyway. You got Dijon Mustard Robinson in the backfield.
Yeah.
Let that man run over people. Let him do his thing. And
Hmm.
they've got a really great running back, a great backup in Algier. They've
Yeah.
got a nice 1-2 punch. Why are they messing with this?
Hmm.
Why are they getting fancy? I don't like to your point. Have Penix do that when he's playing QB1 in practice.
Yeah.
Practice that stuff off camera. Don't give that to your 36-year-old quarterback who has one leg. All right, that I don't. What are we doing here? It's
I mean,
maddening.
it should make you happy because that just makes it easier for the Saints to possibly steal that division. But yeah, it doesn't look
It
right.
is. And look, hey, and here's to the Saints playing Carolina every week. That would be fantastic. But as a football fan, it drives me nuts to see such incompetence on the field.
Yeah,
It's maddening.
yeah.
It's maddening.
Somebody on social media actually noticed this. They went as far as even having Kirk Cousins change his footwork from the snap, how he's standing to receive the snap, from an offset left foot forward stance to a lined up equal feet. Like it's gone to the point where they're completely changing the type of quarterback that he's supposed to be or that he has been, which completely
Yeah.
changes my stance that Kirk Cousins is
Yeah.
adequate enough to lead the Falcons to win that division. Because if you're rebuilding Kirk Cousins at what is he 35, 37, that's not going to be a recipe for success. You can do that with a 28-year-old that you just drafted,
Yeah.
not him.
Yeah. 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 That's like paying $80 million for a Lamborghini and say, I want to make this a Honda Civic.
Yeah.
That's really what I want. Well, then
And
you could have bought 3 Honda Civics, you idiot. Like what are you doing? I don't what why are you playing God the worst way possible? Like
yeah.
you quite possibly. Yeah, I mean, I've already said it before. Raheem Morris was one of my number one coaches on the hot seat,
Hmm.
especially the number one guy who is new. The
Right.
first year he was there and he's already proving me right.
Hmm.
So I mean, I'm conflicted. I don't like any hardworking man losing his job, but I also don't like incompetence. And I don't believe you should have a job like this if you're going to be incompetent like that.
No.
It makes zero sense. Whether and I know it's not necessarily him. I mean, he should have fired his offensive coordinator at halftime. That's
For,
what he should have done. Like okay, you're done. What? How did you get this job?
hmm.
Or this is like that episode of Seinfeld when Kramer just shows up with a suitcase full of crackers, and they're like, "Do you work here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I work here." Yeah. Well, when did you start? I just came here. So like, oh, you're fired. Well, I don't really work here. I never got hired in the first place. So this is kind of what this is. Um, but that was such a bizarre game.
Not winning
That
a
was
game when you don't allow the other team to score a single touchdown should tell you enough about
Mhm.
what type of team you're running. They didn't score a
Yep.
single touchdown on the Falcons defense, and they still
Nope.
couldn't win the game.
Nope. They went 3-6-6-3, and they
Hmm.
won 18-10.
Yeah.
So that was okay. All right. You'd think this was some stupid Sean Payton team. Let's go for two.
Yeah,
No, they're not going for two, coach. That's just idiotic. Okay. We're not doing that.
yeah.
No, all field goals. Chris Boswell for MVP, folks. Let's give it up
Okay.
for him.
All right. Give it up for him. Congratulations, Boswell. Well, let's jump right into this week's games then, because we have a fine and dandy matchup to kick off week 2 with the Dolphins and the Bills playing on Thursday night, which I personally am
Mhm.
excited for that matchup.
Yeah, that one's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
Um, I uh, uh, I wonder if Tyreek's going to manufacture another arrest outside the stadium
Oh God,
to make him just as effective again. But
the
yeah,
shade.
no, that's going to be a really good game. I'm excited for it. I think, especially because um, the Bills should be coming out with their hair on fire to win this game after
Hmm.
they nearly lost it to Arizona.
Right.
So this is and honestly, like, and we talked about it last week. Um, this is one of those things where it's going to be, either Buffalo or Miami winning this division.
Right.
That's it. And so this is going to go. This only week 2, folks. But this game's going to go a long way in deciding that. So you need every tiebreaker you can get, and whoever wins this game is going to have, no matter how much of a razor's edge it is, it'll
Mm-hmm.
be an edge that they have in order in toward winning this division, because it will come down to either Miami or Buffalo.
Yeah. Here's a stat that I came across this morning that blew my mind, which puts me in shock considering my season pick for Miami to win the season. Miami hasn't beat Buffalo in their last 4 matchups, so they haven't beat them in 2 years. They have lost 9 out of their last 10 matchups, so they only
Mm-hmm.
have one win in the last 10 matchups against Buffalo. So if Miami wants to establish themselves as one of the competitive teams that can win the division and make me
Mm-hmm.
actually look like know what I'm talking about, it has to start
Yeah.
this week by them beating
Yeah.
the the team that's been dominating that division for the last 4 years. You can't
Mm-hmm.
let
Yeah.
the historic the history of that division be okay. The Patriots dominated the division for 20 years. Now we're gonna
Yeah.
let the Bills dominate it for another 20.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Yeah.
everything in place now to take over that division. So Miami
Yeah.
didn't look good, and here's the thing: they did not look good last week. They did not look
Yeah.
good against Jacksonville. So they need to get it
No,
together and figure out some
they did
stuff
not.
to actually be competitive this game and show that they actually can win that division. You have to go through the Bills if you're going to win that division. There's no way around it. You
Yeah.
can't bank on them losing
Absolutely.
somewhere else.
Yeah, and it's all it's going to come down to if Miami can actually get this run game going. If because they were so atrocious
Yeah,
with the run game,
yeah,
Tua threw almost 350 yards
on
out of
39.
necessity because he had to, and
Mhm.
so it's one of those things where when you have a chain and you have Jeff Wilson getting what 50 yards total, and that matches the kind of the second leading rusher that Arizona had on
Yeah.
on, on his own against Buffalo last week. Uh, Arizona kind of, I mean, they exploited Buffalo's lack of being able to kind of defend the run there. I don't
Hmm.
know if this is going to be a theme carrying on for us this season. This could just be, a one-time thing because, 57 of those yards came from Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Um, but even still, I mean, Tua's got legs. Tua can run. You got Jeff Wilson. You got Devin Achane. Like, it's not it it if Miami can't get this run game going, I think Buffalo is probably going to have a much easier shot against Miami than they did against Arizona.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Buffalo had to come back from a 17-point deficit to beat
mm-hmm.
the Cardinals, and they were this close to losing that game too because Murray completely missed Harrison Jr. wide open to win that game at
Mm-hmm.
the end. So it's
Yeah,
not like the Bills dominated that game and they just coasted to the finish line. There was a moment where they could have easily lost that game. And if
yeah,
Miami's going to play at a lower quality than the Cardinals, they stand no chance.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, they Buffalo really came to life in the second half, and that's when they took over the game.
They did.
But it was but I think Miami's going to have to get that run game fixed if they can't. And like I said, look, it's only week 2, and we can overreact all we want, but you can call it an overreaction if you'd like. But these are the top 2 teams in the AFC and the AFC South. It is, I mean, AFC East. It's up to these 2 teams. It's
Yeah.
going to come down to these 2. Whoever wins this game, like it or not, week 2, this will play a pivotal part. I don't
Yeah.
see Buffalo and Miami, either one of these teams, faltering down the stretch.
Mm-mm.
I mean, whoever loses this game is still going to go on and still win, make a name for themselves, make a case for the playoffs. But if you're Miami or Buffalo, especially like we talked about last week in the AFC, it's so much harder to make the playoffs in the AFC than it is the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
And your surest shot to make the playoffs in the AFC is to win your division. And this game's going to come down to that.
Yeah, whatever team wins this matchup takes the inside track really for the entire rest of the season for the division, the title. It's really that simple. Win this game, you have the inside track the rest of the year to win your division. which makes it
Yep.
a very important game. I feel like it's more of important of a game for the Dolphins for all the reasons that I just said than the Bills, because I don't think
Yeah. No, I agree.
the Bills won't lose if they lose to the Miami tomorrow or Thursday night.
hmm
They will not lose to Miami twice. I see that hard to
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see what happens then. But I am looking forward to that game. Um, do you wanna move on to another not new game, but
Ooh,
a game that kind of alters our fan favorite segment, the Fix of Six?
if
You
we
want to
are
do it?
altering our fix of six, let's cue the music. Cue the music.
For this week's iteration of JB and Manny's Fix of Six, we are going to do a little twist to it. We are going to come up with our Monday morning headlines, and we are going to go one by one, and we are going to give our headlines as to what will be in the papers or online come Monday morning. Manny, go first.
Monday's headline after the New York Jets Tennessee game will be zoom, zoom, zoom your way out of the Jets, Sala, after they get demolished by an underperforming Tennessee Titans team. The Jets will look even worse. So they will be calling for the head of Robert Sala after 2 weeks in the Aaron Rodgers official tenure with the New York Jets.
I like that one.
Yeah.
JB's first Monday morning headline will come from that same game, but it will be titled Christian who? Jordan Mason builds his resume brick by brick. See what I did there? Not that I think Christian McCaffrey is going to miss this game. I think he's going to play. But the performance Jordan Mason put on against the Jets on you're giving me a look as if he's not going to play.
He's not going to
But
play.
he's not going to play.
I
Okay.
don't think so.
Well, even if he doesn't play, Jordan Mason put on a display on Monday on the biggest stage of the NFL on Monday Night Football, the first game of the season, and ran all over a Jets defense that was supposed to be good, and he completely obliterated these guys.
He did. He did. He sure did. He made anybody envy him as a starting running back for any other team that struggles to run the ball. Maybe Miami should reach out and try trading for him. Maybe then they can start running the ball a little bit better. Your next headline on Monday morning will be Bear down for a rough year after the Bears get demolished by the
Mm.
Texans on Sunday Night Football. Caleb Williams stole a win last week by throwing 94 yards and 0 touchdowns in a comeback fashion to beat the Titans, thanks to the Titans' implosion and the defense doing all the work. And after the Texans' defense makes Caleb look worse, the entire city of Chicago will be throwing in the towel and saying this is not the year that Caleb Williams is going to be leading us to any type of winning record by any means. So bear down for a rough year, Bears fans.
JB's second Monday morning headline: The Good Daniel. When the Washington football team welcomes in the New York Giants, the Giants are going to see the other Daniels that is, run all over and air it out all over this Giant team. And they're going to wonder, man, why do we have the bad Daniel? And they're going to sit there and say, where did they get all those wonderful toys? The good Daniel is going to show up on Sunday and completely obliterate this Giants team and cause, with that, maybe a little bit more overreaction as to Jaden Daniels having a great rookie season. Because let's face it, folks, It's the New York Giants. Let's not pretend that they're going to be anything good this year. But any stepping stone for Jaden Daniels to get his feet wet and solid on the ground and have any sort of success is going to be a good thing. The good Daniel comes Monday morning in the theater near you.
There you go. Love it. My last Monday morning headline for you, JB. You're going to love this headline. The headline will read, "Who dat? That Dallas defense." After the
Mm.
Dallas completely shuts down the high potent offense that the Saints pretended to be against the Carolina Panthers last week.
Oh man, this is one of those things where you show up to school with your best friend. You took a separate bus, and you're like wearing the same shirt, and your friend's like, "Hi, did you plan that?" This we did. We did plan this. So JB's number one Monday morning headline is going to be, "Oh, when the Saints come marching over the Cowboys." That is what's going to happen. They are going to march into Dallas all over Dak in his stupid new contract. And Jerry Jones is going to wonder, maybe I should give McCarthy an extension too. This will be the Monday morning. This will be the Monday morning headline, and it will be the Monday morning headline that I revel in the most because it means my Saints are 2-0.
And that wraps up your twist on the iteration of your weekly fix of six.
Nice.
Speaking of the
Uh,
Dallas Cowboys contract extension with Dak, how bad did Trey Lance have to look for Jerry Jones to throw out $60 million at Dak? I'm not hating on it, but that must have been quite the scare seeing the potential replacement throw 5 picks in a preseason game that Jerry Jones
yeah,
just opened his checkbook and said, "Take what you want."
yeah, yeah. And I told you, okay, I told you this the day that it was announced that Dak got his money. That the moments after Dak got his bag was that uh, my stance on Dak Prescott is changing a bit.
It
So,
is.
and it's changing in a way where, yes, he has not, translated this regular season success into much playoff success for Dallas. But
Mm-hmm.
any quarterback who plays like this in a regular season, who can consistently and regularly get you to the dance,
Mm-hmm.
they always say, just, just
Get
get
him.
into the playoffs,
Yeah.
get in, just get in. It doesn't matter. He he gets the Cowboys in on a consistent basis, consistently and convincingly too. It's not
Mm-hmm.
by the skin of their teeth, it's convincing. And it doesn't hurt that they play in the same division as a team that plays like they have one wing burnt off and they come crashing to the ground the second half of every season. So, but Dak consistently gets this team in. He gets them in convincingly. Congrats, Dak. I'm glad you got your bag. You've more than earned it in this inflated economy of of NFL quarterbacks. Well done. Good job. Not so much good luck on Sunday.
No, well, we'll see about that one. You know what? I don't know if Jerry Jones pulled off the biggest fleece of the offseason by pretending like he wasn't going to sign Dak and 2 hours before their game kicked off announced a contract of that magnitude, or if he has just figured out the entertainment factor so well behind the Dallas Cowboys organization that he knew by creating that drama, he was going to get all the
Mm-hmm.
attention all offseason just to do what everybody knew should happen. He fish hooked us the entire offseason just to keep the Cowboys in the front of
Yeah,
everybody's mind. If he would have signed this contract the beginning of the offseason, the Cowboys would have gotten lost and forgotten throughout the entire offseason from
yeah,
April up until kickoff. But the way he did it, I have to say there has to be some sort of evil genius planning that
yeah,
happened for it to play off like that, because even like 2 weeks ago, those stories were there's no conversations between Dak and the Cowboys for a contract extension. There was nothing,
yeah.
and then all of a
Nothing.
sudden there's a
Mm-hmm.
record-breaking contract.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was really odd. It was it was almost as if it was on purpose. Like I can't help but think that it wasn't on purpose. I'm with you. It's just like he just whips out 240 million. Like I really this is
60
what we're
million,
doing.
fine.
I don't. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Yeah. You want to give me money next week? That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your game
It was
starts at yeah. Yeah.
Dak was stretching when this contract, the news of the contract broke. It's not like he was
Mhm.
on a bye week. He was freaking stretching in Cleveland, getting ready for a game. That
Yeah.
agent does some last minute magic or something. But
Hmm.
like I said,
Yeah.
it gives sniff test doesn't pass for it to be a last second thing that got agreed on by any means.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you do you want to take a run at the rest of the week's matchups so we can go over our expectations and wrap up or highlight week 2?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, we
Yeah.
have the 49ers against Minnesota. Minnesota looked good.
Hmm.
Minnesota looked for Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I don't know if that coach in Minnesota knows what to do with he's a quarterback whisperer up there, but he made Sam Darnold look amazing. I even told you the Giants are making
Hmm.
Sam Darnold look like an MVP.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Um, yeah, I can't really take much from that game because it's the Giants.
Yeah.
I can't take them seriously. I
No.
I just when you're when 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 your greatest sense of hope for your team is trying to gin up some cool nickname for your flailing quarterback, calling him Danny Dimes. This is not this. I mean, then you've already declared last place in
Yeah.
your division. You've already that Brian Dable's hope is that they finish dead last. He keeps his job, and they actually go and get an actual quarterback in the draft next year.
Yeah.
So that's honestly the one hope that Giants fans should have. That's
Hmm.
it.
And
You drafted Malik Neighbors.
Panthers are
Now go
marginally
get a quarterback.
Panthers
Huh?
also they're also wishing that the Panthers are marginally better, so the Giants get the first overall pick.
Yeah, and so far that is not looking good at all. But so I look at the that Texans Colts game was a really good game. I feel for I don't really feel for Anthony Richardson. I think
Why?
it's more of I don't feel for him because no one expected them to beat Houston anyway. But I don't think anyone expected the game to be as close as it was. And
Right.
so for that, I honestly think this is more of a sense of hope. If you're a Colts fan, this was a great outcome.
Yeah.
Your quarterback stayed healthy for 4 quarters. He put up insane numbers.
Yeah.
And
Well,
what
he
more?
completed the ball 9 times out of like 17. That's not insane. He had insane plays.
No, the insane number was that he played 60 minutes. That was the insane number. So the insane numbers that he didn't do much behind the offensive line. Um, but he put up. Between his rushing and his passing, still under 300 yards. But this is against a Texans team that it's not a defense to sneeze at. And so
Mm-mm.
for him to be able to have the ability to go out there and
Mm-hmm.
to play like he did, not even like he did, but to play the whole game,
Mm-hmm.
come out healthy. Let's do this again. Let's
Mm-hmm.
build on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the concern for that game for me with the Texans. Their offensive line did not look like they're going to be able to hold up all year. CJ Stroud that first half was looking a little rough, taking a beating. And I'm not
Yeah.
necessarily taking away from the Colts defense. I already mentioned the fact that their defense is pretty damn good. But either way, the
Yeah.
Texans expectations for the Texans are higher and should be able to handle the Colts defense. But something to keep my eyes on.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that, if you're Houston and you're kind of looking at, okay, maybe CJ is going to get beat up quite a bit here. And, but you also, the signing of Joe Mixon is proven to be already pretty fruitful.
Yep.
So I don't think he's going to be. beating down defenses like this all throughout the season. But if you can get 25, 90 from him in a touchdown a game, I take that
You
every
know what
day.
makes him carry the ball
Every
25
day.
times?
He carried it 30 times against Indianapolis.
Yeah, I know. I just
Yeah.
considering the backfield, considering the playmakers, it would be surprising if that's the consistent stat that we're aiming for. You're gonna beat up Mixon by week 5.
Well, not if he has 25 carries a game. He's a running back. He's a grown man. I mean, Derrick Henry's been doing this for what 80 years.
Yeah, but
So
Derrick Henry's
you
an
know,
animal.
I mean, he is an animal and he's not even human. But if you're worried about C.J. Stroud being able to remain on his feet, especially after getting sacked 4 times
Mm-hmm.
against the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least you can lean on the fact that, okay, we have a guy here, we have a workhorse who can actually pound the ball. And even
Mm-hmm.
if it's 20, 25 carries a game for, 80, 90 yards, great, do it. Let's do
Yeah,
that every game.
I guess.
Every
Yeah.
game. I would even say if he did 20 carries, 70 yards a game and a touchdown, I'd say that's a winning recipe. Especially when you have Tank Dell and Nico and you have Stephon Diggs running out there for the routes. I mean, you can throw some slants in there. You can dink and dunk for CJ Stroud if you don't think that the offensive line's going to hold up. But, oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you have the week 2 matchups in front of you, JB?
I do. Yep.
What is the matchup that you're going to already be having your eyes on week 2 as a key matchup?
Week. Hmm.
We're not going to count the Bills Dolphins game, and we're not counting the Dallas New Orleans game.
Okay. I'm kind of I'm looking at for some reason the Raiders Ravens game is standing out to me. I just I, I said last week in our prediction episode that the strength of the strength of the Ravens winning that division is going to come down to how well Lamar plays throughout the
Right.
entire season. Now, I'm not saying Lamar played terribly against Kansas City, but it's one of those things where you have to be able to see something from Lamar on a week to week basis for me to even believe that not only going to get the playoffs, but they're going to do something in the playoffs. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm starting to wonder, you know, and this, like I said, week going into week 2 is always an over. It leads more toward the overreaction.
Right.
Okay, we're always screaming iceberg at the end of after week 1, even though the iceberg is still miles off. So like we're just like we're freaking out over here. But um, I have high hopes for the Raiders.
Okay.
I have high hopes for the Raiders this season, and I'd like to see Zamir White do something. I want to see Zamir White actually begin to open up and kind of just take over. When Josh Jacobs was out last year, Zamir White came in and he completely transformed that offense. He made Aiden O'Connell look like a decent like just a serviceable quarterback in the NFL because
Right.
of his gameplay.
That's true.
And and I'm looking at the stats from last week when Baltimore played Kansas City, and it's not. Baltimore kind of. I mean, they stifled the run. Isaiah Pacheco had less than 50 yards rushing. Zamir White had less than 50 yards rushing last week. So, but if if the Raiders are going to, I don't want to use this word, but if they're going to overperform this season,
Mm-hmm.
and Gardner Jorts Minshew is still going to be out there, slinging the ball around. Zamir White's going to have to be a part of this. They're going to have to get Zamir White very much involved in this offense, and so for me, when you have 13 carries, 13 carries, 44 yards, that's a really good ratio. That's not bad. That kind of falls in line with that 20 carries for 70 yards,
Yeah.
the 2025 for, all that. That falls in line. That's good. Um, Zamir White's going to have to he's going to have to handle the rock more. He's going to have to.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting to me because of what we talked about last week of Baltimore. Are they going to win this division? I still think the Steelers have a pretty good shot at winning this. Um, and because the Bengals really aren't showing me, they didn't really show me anything week one. The Browns, I have no idea who the Browns are going to be, especially now. And so, it's really going to come down to Pittsburgh and Baltimore. And if there's going to be any sort of a hope for Baltimore fans to actually feel like they can win this division, Lamar's going to have to wake up.
Hmm.
And but if you're a Raider fan, you're going to want Zamir White to get that ball a lot more than he did last week.
True, very true. Here's the matchup that I'm very, very excited about, and it's between two 0-1 teams. I'm looking forward to the Rams Cardinals game.
Yes.
Another
Mm,
division game, and we
yeah.
already highlighted the fact that the Cardinals were in that game that entire time for 60 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They were never
Yep.
counted out. Kyler Murray did his job. He didn't do anything crazy. He didn't play crazy with the
Nope.
ball. Just launched
Mm-hmm.
it everywhere. He did his job. He threw 167 yards out, one touchdown, 21 total
Yeah.
pass attempts. The Rams, on the other hand, had that game in the bag. They
They
were
did.
completely they
Mm-hmm.
were completely in that game the entire time. The
Yeah.
only reason they lost that game was because the Lions offensive line knows how to beat up a defense and completely
Yeah.
exhaust them.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
overtime win by the Lions was strictly because the Rams could have no breath left in them to really put
Mm-hmm.
any type of pushback against that line. I don't think Goff threw the ball more than maybe once during that overtime drive to win the game. So the Rams are
Mm-hmm.
competitive. I'm
Yeah.
curious to see how they're going to look without Puka Nakua in the game for the
Yeah.
next 4 weeks. But besides
Mm-hmm.
that, Stafford is the same Stafford that we knew before he went out with an injury last year. And the Cardinals seem like they're not going to be a scrub team this year. I think they're going to be competitive. So
Yeah.
overall, I think one of these two teams is bound to more than likely come out of that division. And I picked the Rams to come out of that division as a wild card. I know the
Yeah.
Niners are going to win the division, so that's not even my point. My point is that
Yeah.
this matchup is going to be a good tell of which team is going to be competitive overall. Yeah, so Cardinals, Rams. It seems like it's lining up to be a game where it's going to be probably most likely a high scoring offensive game as well. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everything about what I saw from the Cardinals, I was not expecting, and everything from the Rams encourages you that if they're healthy, even though they already
Yeah.
lost, four players were out after Sunday night's game.
Yeah.
Even then,
Yeah.
if they're healthy, they're a team that can be very very competitive.
Yeah, yeah. The matchup, and I looked at that game too, and I'm very interested in that game because that also has divisional impact too. I don't think Arizona is going to be a schlub this season. I think Arizona has every chance to not win it. They're not going to win the division by any
Right.
stretch, but they have every opportunity to actually to sneak into the playoffs as a wild card. They What I'm looking for is I want to see how Jared Verse responds against an O line that isn't dominating.
Right.
So Jared Verse had two tackles. He had one for loss. He had a sack. Kyler Murray got sacked 4 times last
Mhm.
week, 4 times. And I'm looking at it from the other side. I want to see if Jared Verse comes to eat. If he come, I mean, I know he's going to come hungry. I just don't know if there's going to be enough food on that plate or enough food in that line by the time he gets up there. I He should eat all day. He should have no problem gobbling up Kyler Murray in that game. And so that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. And then to your point about Cooper Cup, that was the Cooper Cup game, man. I mean, he did everything he could to help the Rams win that game. He did everything. And so to come out with 14 catches for over 100 yards,
Yeah,
that's insane numbers.
that's prime.
And so yeah, that's prime Cooper. And so if Cooper is going to be if Prime Cooper is back this season, the Rams will be a team to reckon with, especially when you got Matthew Stafford back there who's still
Mhm.
slinging the rock like nobody's business.
Yeah.
So um, I can absolutely see the Rams running away with this game. I absolutely can. I think it's set up for for them to just beat up Arizona on both sides of the ball. Both sides of the ball.
No, it's. I think overall, it's just it should lead up to be a really good matchup for both of those teams. I think they'll match up really well against each other, considering the type of game that both of them just played.
Yeah,
The Rams situation is a reminder to me that I still hate the overtime rules, even in regular season. I like what they did with the playoffs. I wish they would bring that over to the regular season because
yeah,
nothing would have made me happier than to see Matt Stafford try leading an overtime
yeah,
scoring drive to match the Lions. So that just it was a reminder that I don't
yeah,
like the way the NFL operates. Their
yeah,
sometimes it applies, sometimes it doesn't apply overtime rules. I wish they just give
yeah.
both teams a chance to
Hmm.
score.
Yeah,
Very similar to how college does it. I love college overtime rules.
yeah.
One of the more
Hmm.
exciting parts of football, if you ask me.
Yeah, these are grown men. Just play the extra quarter. Make it make it a 10-minute quarter. Who cares? Just play the extra quarter. Just play the whole thing. Who cares? Like what well I'm some of these games go down to the last minute anyway because both teams get the ball and then and the team that started it runs the clock out, kicks a field goal with 46 seconds left. They've already played another quarter. Just play the whole freaking thing.
Yeah,
Just do it.
very true.
And if you're not going to do that, just call it a tie at the end of the game. At the end of regulation, call it a tie. Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, what are we doing here? All right, There's plenty of cousin marriages out there. I'm sure they would love to be represented on the big stage. Ties like kissing your cousin. Okay, I'm sure. Like this is, look, make the state of West Virginia happy. They don't have an NFL team. Make them feel involved. Okay, or just just play a whole extra quarter. That's all I'm saying.
It's a very easy solution. I can't believe nobody from the NFL is really listening to us right now. I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you a rapid fire, and you're gonna give me your rapid fire picks for this week. All right?
Okay.
Bills Dolphins Thursday night.
Bills.
New Orleans Dallas. I'm guessing you're picking New Orleans. San
Oh, I'm picking
Francisco.
Dallas to win. Yeah. I'm picking Dallas to win that game. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I am. Yeah.
Okay. San Francisco at Minnesota.
San Fran.
Vegas at Baltimore.
Vegas.
Oh. Chargers at Carolina.
Chargers.
Tampa Bay at Detroit.
Detroit.
Indianapolis at Green Bay.
Indianapolis.
Ooh. Cleveland at Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
Seattle at New England.
Seattle.
New York Jets at Tennessee.
The Jets.
The Giants at Washington.
Neither. Washington.
You made me spit out my drink. The Rams at Arizona.
Rams.
Pittsburgh at Denver for a Russell Wilson re- uh, revenge game with no Russell Wilson.
It's Pittsburgh either way.
Cincinnati at Kansas City.
Kansas City.
The Bears at the Texans.
Texans.
And finally, Monday night, Falcons at Eagles.
Eagles.
Ooh. Okay.
Mm.
Here's the here's the thing about this week's matchups. Considering what we saw week one, and I understand this is probably going to be an exaggeration. None of those matchups are really matchups that I'm like very very intrigued by, and none of the
Yeah.
matchups. There's very few where out of your picks would surprise me if the other happened. Like the expected
Hmm.
team, it's very much a week where the expected team should win. There's no
Yeah.
upsets tingling my ears right now.
Hmm.
Well, you picked
Yeah.
Vegas over Baltimore, I guess, but besides that, there's not much.
Yeah. Yeah. What disappoints me is how easy it was for me to pick the Chiefs over the Bengals. I I really I mean, my God,
Bengals,
My word.
Bengals look like they're
They
struggling.
look they look so bad. It looked like
Mhm.
11-on-7 football out there.
It
It
did.
was, and that it's just, oh, I did not expect New England to win that game at
No,
all.
nobody did.
It wasn't
Nobody.
it wasn't it wasn't much of a game as it is, but like just, oh, how are you not embarrassed? Oh man.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that kind of hurt me the most. Like picking Kansas City, just Kansas City. I
I think.
I need to see something from Cincinnati.
Yeah, if it was week one, I would have probably had a second. I had to take a pause and really
Oh
think about
yeah.
Cincinnati, Kansas City.
Yeah.
After seeing what they just did last week, I can't argue with you. Kansas City, as much as they look like a sputtering offense, like they're still figuring out their pieces and whatnot, they're only going
Yeah.
to get better because Hollywood Brown is coming back this week.
Yeah.
So Kansas City looked way better than Cincinnati for sure. So seeing what I
Hmm.
saw from both
Yeah.
teams, Cincinnati does not give me any type of encouragement. And Joe
Yeah.
Burrow, Joe Burrow didn't look like Joe Burrow. Period.
He
There
did
was
not.
no
Not at
like.
all.
There's
Not
always
at
a thing
all.
where a quarterback makes their
Mm.
team better. Joe Burrow could
Yeah.
not make that team better. And I don't know if it's
No.
an indictment on the team or if Joe Burrow has something going on or if he's just not at 100% when it came to readiness for the season. But he did not look like the Joe Burrow that we saw lead his team to the Super Bowl by any means. So yeah, you're right. That was a
Yeah.
heartbreaker of a matchup because both teams are well, the Cincinnati Bengals are underwhelming and underperforming right now. But I
Yeah.
will
And
say,
like, yeah.
no, go ahead. I was gonna talk about a different team. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say that, Cincinnati had it, the game was so low scoring. Cincinnati had a chance to just control that game if they
Yeah.
just keep giving the ball to Zach Moss, and because Moss he had a good ratio. He had under 10 carries for over 40 yards.
Hmm.
Look, that's the magic number if you're a running back, a 4 yard average.
Oh
That's
yeah.
the magic number. Like you had an opportunity there to kind of just, and it was just such, ugh, it was such an underwhelming game, and I expected that from New England,
Hmm.
but it's just, that
It's
was
very
just,
stressful.
it was very disappointing.
It
It's
was,
disappointing.
but this wraps it all back to what we started the episode by saying that was very, very sloppy football. So if we
Hmm.
want to over
Yeah,
exaggerate, we're saying the Cincinnati Bengals don't look like they're ready for a playoff push, but it was sloppy football across the board, and that was a perfect example of
yeah,
how sloppy the matchups were
hmm,
week one.
yeah, yeah.
Here's my
But honestly, but just real quick, like if Cincinnati has a chance to win this game if they stick to the run game. If they stick to the run game, they have a shot.
Mhm.
Lamar Jackson ran all over the Chiefs. He
He did.
ran all over them. And it's not as if, Derrick Henry didn't. I mean, he had a decent game. They only gave him the ball 13 times, but
Yeah.
but even his ratio was good. It was decent. And so if Cincinnati can focus on not so much making Joe Burrow the highlight of the game like he was at the Paris fashion show, we can, they have a shot.
Hmm.
They have a shot to win this game. Kansas City has real holes on this defense, and so it's an opportunity. Cincinnati has an opportunity to rebound in a big way, and if they can do that against Kansas City, I think that quells anything that happened in Week One,
Hmm.
and kind of breaks even both Kansas City and Cincinnati. Maybe raises more question about Kansas City, but Cincinnati, they have a chance to win. But I I'm not going to sit there and say Cincinnati because I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
No, just based on what I've seen so far, Kansas City.
We would love for Cincinnati to prove us wrong, but yeah, I'm on the same boat as you. They have a chance, but just they have to prove us wrong
Mm-hmm.
from what we saw week one. It's that simple. Here's the Monday night Falcons Eagles game. I think is going to be a sneaky game. As I'm looking at it, the Eagles didn't look good.
Mm-hmm.
The Packers gave away that game and didn't take advantage of the fact that the Eagles weren't playing good football. They turned over the
Yeah.
ball.
Mm-hmm.
Offense was not
Yep.
as explosive. It seems to me like that line really misses Jason Kelsey being the driving force of the line.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah,
And
absolutely,
overall,
they do.
the Eagles, the only reason they won that game was because the Packers didn't take advantage of the fact that the Eagles were struggling and turning the ball over. It was
Mm-hmm.
not
Yeah.
it was not a tell of the Eagles. It was more of a tell of the Packers not
Mm-hmm.
really being serious about that game, or whatever explanation you want to
Yeah.
put. But it's more of a tell on the
Yeah.
Packers than it is on the Eagles. The Eagles didn't show me anything that told me they were gonna run the table this year.
Yeah. And it's going to hurt them a lot. It's going to hurt them not taking that game seriously. It's already hurt them way more than just a loss because if they take it seriously, Jordan Love probably doesn't get hurt.
True.
He probably doesn't get injured.
Yeah. That is just that overall. We were watching that game as like a watch party thing, and that overall was just a heartbreaker. But yeah, they
Yeah.
would have never been in that position. There was no reason for them to be in that position. I think the Eagles had 4 turnovers, and the Packers didn't capitalize on them at all.
Yeah.
They would had such an easy chance to really dominate that game. And I understand the
Mm-hmm.
complaints have been coming out about the field condition not being on par. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams
Yeah.
were in the same field condition. Both teams
The
scored.
field condition was fine because the Packers were running all over the Eagles, and the
Yeah.
Eagles are running all over the Packers. The field
Mhm.
condition was fine. It was
Mhm.
just fine. And if the Packers didn't, it's this like the Packers fell in the same trap as Cincinnati did. I feel like they had their quarterbacks try to be the centerpiece of the offense when they didn't have to be. They didn't have to be the centerpiece of the offense. Um, Freaking Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson ran all over the Eagles
Yeah.
in that game. And so, why is Jordan Love throwing the ball 34 times?
Mhm.
Why? Hand the ball off. You had that game in control. That was your game to lose, and you lost it. And
Yep.
it's because you sat there, you tried to get cute, you try to be pretty with it. Just play football. Play the game in front of you. Play what's presented in front of you. I get Saquon ran all over freaking freaking Green Bay. But like I said, Josh Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson doing the same exact thing. Give
Mhm.
them more chances. Between the two of them, they had 20 carries between the two of them, between Wilson and Jacobs. 20 carries, and they averaged together they got 130 yards rushing on these guys on 20 carries. Why are
Yeah.
we not running the ball more? What are we doing? You went out, you got Josh Jacobs because uh, you loved Aaron Jones. He was hurt too much. You needed consistency. You wanted more power. You wanted more thunder in that offense. You wanted more
Mhm.
thunder and lightning within one player. You got the thunder and lightning, and you got the lightning and Emmanuel Wilson. Why are you not taking advantage of this?
Yeah.
Why is Jordan Love throwing the ball 34 freaking times in this
Mhm.
game when it's not necessary? It's just not necessary.
Very, very, very well put. I agree with you 100%. And like again, the Saquon got 3 touchdowns on the Packers, and even then, if a running back scores on you on a receiving touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns, usually
Mm-hmm.
that game is being dominated by whatever running back that team is on. The Packers were still in that game, which goes to show that the
Yeah.
Eagles weren't at 100% when it came to the execution. And here's my final thought on that: they had one tush push play, the infamous
Mm-hmm.
Eagles ran tush push play, and it did not look as solid or as pretty as it has for the last 5 years with Jason Kelsey leading that. So
Mm-mm.
it's
Jason Kelsey is one of the. It will come down. He will be at the end of it one of the best centers that has ever played the game of football.
yeah,
When your center game is off and it's not nearly as strong, it's going to show, and it's going to show just like in those tush push plays. They
yeah,
can sit there and say, "Oh, this worked for what? This worked for forever." Yeah, because of who your center was.
hmm
You can't just throw anybody there. I
yeah,
played center in Pee Wee. Look at me. I'm 100 pounds soaking wet. Okay, that you can't just throw anybody out there. All right.
true. Two plays that highlight the Eagles' current status. One is the tush push play that I saw that they barely got the first down on that tush push play, and two, the center hiking the ball whenever Hurts was not ready for it. That turned. I think
Mm,
they turned it over on that play. Those 2 plays highlight that connection and go to show that the Eagles are not going to be the same type of Eagles that they were previously.
yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Let's close real quick just on our thoughts of um, the playoff race in baseball. Um,
Yes.
I let's it's September now. This is it. This
Yes.
is this is the final push.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 weeks left of baseball. 2 weeks left. Let's take a look at these standings real quick. Um, uh, the the Yankees are still in first place because both the Yankees and Orioles are playing mediocre baseball.
They are.
So congratulations to both of them for not trying. Well done. Um, I said the last time I thought Kansas City was going to win the 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 AL Central, but they were tied with Minnesota. Since that game, Kansas City went on to lose 7 straight. And so Minnesota now has a 4 game lead over Kansas City. And it's gotten so bad in Kansas City after losing 7 straight. They're like, Kansas City's waking up. They're playing 500 baseball in their last 10 games. 5-5 is not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. But that's just how bad it was for 7 straight. For a whole week, they lost every game.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have Houston being Houston.
Houston being
I'm
Houston.
sorry, it wasn't Kansas City tied with Minnesota. It's Kansas City tied with the Indians.
Oh
But
yeah.
the Indians now have a 4 game lead.
Right.
Minnesota is now in the final wild card, in the driver's seat for final wild card. The Tigers are making a push for that. They've won 3 in a row. They're 3 games behind that last spot. And so Seattle's still not out of it, but their offense is anemic. It is just not there at all. And I honestly don't know what's going on there. Do you have any thoughts for the AL?
No, I think the Yankees, like you said, with the AL East, the Yankees and Orioles, both respectively, have both squandered the opportunity to take a stronghold on that division.
Mhm.
And it is not. It is a tight division right now, virtually a tight division, because of, like you said, mediocre play, and it's underwhelming that neither one of those teams. I don't care. I mean, I do care that the Yankees aren't taking a stronghold on that division, but I don't care which team it was. If there was one team in that position to take over that division lead while the other team is
Mhm.
sputtering, it would have been the perfect situation for that team. But neither one of those teams wants to get a streak. They've lost. The Yankees have been losing to your Cubs. The Yankees have been pulling these random
Mhm.
losses against the Chicago White Sox. Like
Yeah.
they don't know what it works right now. And to top it off, I
Yeah.
think Aaron Judge right now is on a 13 game streak of not scoring a
Yeah.
home run. So prime
Yeah.
time
Mhm.
for your offense to go
Yeah.
cold
Mhm.
while you're trying to make a push to October.
Yeah. Yeah. Real quick before we move to the NL, shout out to Kyder Montero. He threw a Maddox last night against the Rocky, or 2 nights ago against the Rockies, or last night. If anyone unfamiliar with what a Maddox is a complete game shutout, throwing under 100 pitches,
Mm-hmm.
and he has not had the greatest rookie season, but shout out to Kyder Montero for doing that. And if the Tigers can continue to make this push, that would be super sweet for the city of Detroit to have a year where I mean, like, because the Pistons are still a thing, to be able to have both the Tigers and the Lions actually make the playoffs,
Or be good.
would be super awesome.
Yeah.
But shout out to Montero for doing that.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the National League. Uh, the the biggest story is that, what was that, 11 game winning streak the Mets had, and
Mm-hmm.
now they are
7.5 games back.
um, yeah, they are um, yeah. So the Mets are 7 games back the from the division, but they currently hold a half game lead for the last wild card.
True.
So, and then talking about my Cubbies, oh, it's such a roller coaster, and it's like being. I love the deadliest catch, and something, I get seasick, and I admire the men being able to be on a boat with those rocky seas It's like watching the Cubs, man. They go 1-2, score almost nothing against the Yankees the entire series, and here they are. They've already won the series against the Dodgers in LA, and which
Hmm.
is not easy to do whatsoever. Now they're 4.5 out of the final wild card. I don't know what that's going to hold. They hold no tiebreaker over the Mets or the Braves.
Mm-mm.
So, um, and it's funny too because they're only 8.5 back of Milwaukee right now. Milwaukee has played cold baseball, and so I'm looking at this division, and I'm like, there's a better chance for the Cubs to win the division than there is for them to make the final wild card.
Yeah,
And how sweet would it be if Craig Counsell can have another Craig Timber and just propel these the Cubs past the Milwaukee Brewers? How awesome that would be.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
It's giving you a whole lot to be encouraged for, just to break your heart last weekend of September. Looking forward to that.
yeah,
But
hmm
in the National League, uh, what the heck did I do to jinx the Braves? Since we last talked about the Braves being this dominant force that are going to make a push for the wild card, they are 5-5 in their last 10 games, and they're half a game out of the last spot in the wild card, which blows my mind because
yeah.
they were in a prime position to be comfortable in the wild card race, and now they're outside looking in. So I don't know if I'm a
hmm
jinx in the baseball world or what, but something happened with the Braves, and have a sense of guilt behind me saying that they're actually going to start getting it together, because they have not. And it's
Well, you should. You should have a sense of guilt. Um, no, it just it. I have no words. I don't. This is uncharacteristic of the Braves to play like this. It's uncharacteristic of the Mets to do this. I don't. No one saw the Mets do this.
no.
So, which just sets up for an even greater, just fall off a cliff. A great choke fest for our fans in Queens, just to see the Mets just met all over themselves all over again. This has 2007 written all over it when the Mets just completely failed in the month of September.
Mm.
There's still 2.5 weeks left, so here's hoping. But I just, you know, it's just it sucks because you have Chris Sale, who by every right should win the Cy Young this year, and he is just he is playing lights out baseball right now. He's got over 200 strikeouts. Um, he won't get to 200 innings, I don't think, but it's just it sucks. It
Yeah.
sucks.
It,
And
I
then,
really, I
but
really thought there was something good.
this just goes to show, like Ronald Acuna hasn't played in 2 months. He still leads the team in stolen bases. So like they're not moving guys on the base paths. Marcelo Zuna is really the only thing to write home about. He's the only one blowing up on this squad, but he's got 37 homers, 98 RBIs. But I mean, he should. I would feel like he has a bigger ratio of RBIs by now. But yeah, it's just um, it's sad.
Yeah,
It's sad.
it is. It is. Well, and I'm gonna bring it all the way back to my point about the Yankees. It would be in Yankees fashion to have the front runner for the AL MVP in Aaron Judge, probably most likely the second place in Juan Soto for MVP votes, and the Rookie of the Year favorite right now in Austin Wells, and then them still not find a way to win the division. That would be prime Yankees fashion to pull something like that, where
Yeah,
their players individually are great, but for some reason, as Yankees as a whole cannot figure things out.
yeah, yeah. So, but that's my baseball recap right there. Do you
There
have
you
anything else you want to end on?
go. That covers everything that I wanted to hit on. I mean, the NL West we didn't hit on too much. The Dodgers don't seem, they have yet to pull ahead of that division in a form that we expected them to. I don't even know if
Mm-hmm.
they'll break 100 games this year, just based off of the trend that they're going on. The Arizona Diamondbacks are right on their tail, 4 games back, and so are the Padres. So I'm very I'm intrigued to see if the Dodgers will hold on by their pinkies to keep that division, or if there's going to be a random late push by either one of those teams and really snag that out of them, out of their
Yeah,
grasp with a couple
yeah,
games left or whatever that looks like.
yeah. I'm looking forward to this Red Sox Yankee series. It's a 4 game set that begins tomorrow, and uh, the Red Sox haven't played well. The Yankees haven't played well. This has, and they're playing in the Bronx. This has a telltale, sign of just, you know, seasons past where it seems like whoever's going to make the playoffs is going to come down to a Red Sox Yankee series.
Yep.
So I'm very much looking forward to that because I said the Red Sox could win, could get into the wild card, and maybe they can, um, maybe they won't, but it's going to be. I think that series is just going to be fun to watch as it is, just because it is the Red Sox and the Yankees. So
I wouldn't put it past the Yankees to get swept in that series for no reason in a shutout fashion, like they did against the
yeah.
Cubs. When do the Cubs? I think they just played the Cubs and they had a shutout against them, right? Yesterday, 2 days ago.
It was no, the Cubs didn't shut out the Yankees. No, they won 2-1. The only game they won was 2-1.
Okay.
So the Yankees won the first 2 games by a combined score of 5-1, I think it was. So the Yankees shut out the Cubs the second game 3-0, and then the Cubs won that last game 2-1. So,
Oh,
but
it's the Royals. I'm thinking of the Royals. The Royals shut them
yeah.
out twice.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see that game and or that series, and having a 4 game set at the end of the season between two storied franchises is always a fun time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a
So
full push to October.
well, Manny, that wraps it up for today's episode. Uh, how did the drink treat you today?
It was good. I finished off my Duncan Taylor bottle. It's pretty good.
Mhm.
Still a little rough to the taste, but it was enjoyable. Easy sipper. How was your coffee?
I had some Pinon Biscochito
Nice,
coffee,
my
so it
favorite.
was tasty. It was tasty. Drink it black, just a couple of
Mm.
Truvias in there. So yeah, it was good.
What'd you
Yeah.
smoke?
I smoked this Oliva Serie V. It was we had an Oliva event at Padres Cigar Lounge a couple weeks ago, and they had the rep there, and he gave us a pretty sweet deal, and so we've been making our way through these. Yeah.
Nice, very nice.
So well, folks, catch us on Spotify, Amazon, and iTunes, and watch us on the YouTube. And and make sure to keep an eye out for additional content on both TikTok and Instagram. Both of those are BSB Sports 24. Box
Hmm.
Scores and Bourbon is the name of the podcast. And until then, see you later.
Cheers, everyone.